Hello, I am Jairam Reddy, Professor of Physics and Vice Chancellor, Sri Venkateswara University. Meeting you after a few months gap. Today's topic is very interesting one. The India at the Climate Conference COP26 that is being held at Glasgow in Scotland. The climate conference called COP26, that is Conference of Parties 26 under UN Framework Convention of Climate Change, has begun in Glasgow, Scotland on 31st October. For the last few months, this was considered very crucial because it is probably the last opportunity for the world to enhance climate action, to hold the warming below 2 degrees centigrade and pursue efforts to limit to 1.5 degrees centigrade as agreed in the Paris Agreement in 2015. Moreover, last year's conference was postponed due to the COVID pandemic, and the present one discusses the agendas of the two. Moreover, another important point is the Physics Nobel Prize of this year 2021 was given to climate modelers. This is a deviation because physics prize was going into the high-end research in physics all these years. This is a deviation, choosing meteorologist for this physics prize, and this comes before the annual conference COP26. Probably this is also an indication, it is my premise, that science is solidly clear and what is needed is political will and an immediate political action. According to the International Energy Agency, IEA, to realize restricting the warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade, global emissions must drop by 50% by the end of this decade, that is 2030, and must reach net zero by mid-century, that means 2050. Recent climate scenarios have pointed out that global temperatures are rising well above 1.5 degrees, emphasizing the need to drastically cut down the emissions. Though there is a small dip in emissions rise last year due to the COVID, it is again picked up because the industrial activity has started post-COVID times. The 221 report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, stresses that achieving the 1.5 degrees goal is still conceivable provided extraordinary action is taken immediately. That is the rider. The voluntary emission cuts, which were called Nationally Determined Contributions, NDCs, submitted by all the signatories at the Paris meet in 2015, were together inadequate even to limit warming to well below 2 degrees centigrade. Look at this. Therefore, the climate conference that is going on at Glasgow becomes very vital, because the countries have to tell to what extent they have achieved the commitments made in Paris 5 years back. Another feature of the Paris Agreement is these countries are expected to not only submit the progress, but they have to submit new and increased NDCs every 5 years, which means just now, at the presently, they have to tell the new NDCs. These new NDCs, when combined, they need to be decisively adequate to slow down the warming to achieve well below 2 degrees centigrade objective. Parties, that means countries, shall follow domestic mitigation measures with the goal of reaching the objectives of such contributions. Another thorny issue is the climate finance. The richer developed countries promised financial assistance of $100 billion per year by 2020 to the developing countries to undertake effective climate action, including adaptation to the climate change. Extending financial support and technical assistance, especially to climate vulnerable and poor countries, is very essential to face the onslaught of the harsh consequences of climate change, such as loss of property, land and livelihood, and so on. But unfortunately, these promises by the developed countries were never delivered. Finalizing the implementation guide of the Paris Agreement, known as the Rules Book, the Paris Rules Book, which includes rules to administer international carbon markets, particularly a difficult issue, is another significant item for discussion at Glasgow. Despite achieving some progress in Madrid at COP24 in December 2019, disagreements over setting up a new carbon market remains contentious as ever. This is very important from the point of raising the finances. Native and vulnerable communities, mainly those whose livelihoods are affected by carbon offset projects like conservation of tropical forests or setting up of hydropower systems, have apprehensions regarding human rights as well as land rights. The third point is utilizing geoengineering methods to remove carbon from the atmosphere is a different approach. Utilizing geoengineering methods. These are a range of technologies that aim through deliberate modifications of the Earth's energy balance to reduce temperatures and offset anthropogenic climate change. They constitute two types, solar radiation management and carbon dioxide removal methods. The implementation have several global implications that require a detailed discussion. So, the Global Climate Summit that's going on has a clear goal to put the world on a path to aggressively cut greenhouse gas emissions and slow down the Earth's warming so as to keep the rise in average temperature below 2 degrees centigrade and pursue efforts to limit to 1.5 degrees centigrade. This is the objective, and so many things have to be done to achieve them. Now let us see what happened on November 1st, the first day where all the world leaders met, including our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, speaking at World Leaders Summit of the COP26, declared that India would achieve net zero emissions, that is carbon neutrality, by 2070, ending the speculation whether India will make a pledge. This was one of the 5 major targets Modi ji announced at the summit, indicating India's desire on combating global warming. In contrast, the US, the European Union countries, Japan, Australia, and several others have set 2050, 20 years ahead, as the target year to reach net zero emissions. But other major countries like China, Russia, Saudi Arabia set 2060 to achieve the carbon neutrality. Here you have to note, India is the last major country to declare the target year for reaching net zero emissions. What are the other 4 targets our Prime Minister announced? 1. India would increase its non-fossil fuel energy capacity to 500 gigawatt, up from 450 gigawatt. 2. India gets half of energy requirement through renewable energy sources. 3. India will reduce 1 billion tons of carbon pollution. And 4. India will reduce its carbon intensity of its economy by 45%, up from 33 to 35%. So, including net zero emission target, our Prime Minister gave 5 targets, the latter 4 to be achieved by 2030. That means in another 9 years, we are in 2021. Experts say that India's climate commitments are very ambitious, and meeting them is a challenge. Prime Minister Modi had not spelled out details on how to achieve these targets. For instance, India meets currently about 12% of power requirements through renewables, and increasing that to 50%, 12 to 50, by 2030 will be a superhuman task. But if this could be done, this would be one of the quickest decarbonization of power sector in the world. On climate finance, Prime Minister Modi ji was very critical of developed countries for their false promises and wanted them to raise $1 trillion in climate finance to assist developing and vulnerable countries to help them fight and adapt to the climate change. The developed countries need to act very fast. Now, 2 or 3 points on the targets the Prime Minister made. Regard to India achieving net zero emissions by 2070, if all GHGs, that is all greenhouse gases, are included in the target, it is compatible with 1.5 degrees target. But if only carbon dioxide is targeted, it is compatible with 2 degrees centigrade. So, this is a very, very encouraging and a clear-cut target that our Prime Minister has set. Now, planning the details and strategies are crucial to achieve the results. But even with achieving 2 degrees, it's a great indication to decarbonize the economy of the country. And as zero carbon technologies become more accessible, the country will update its target to attract massive international investments, writes Shrestha Banerjee of International Forum for Environment, Sustainability and Technology in the Times of India of 4th November. The IEA, International Energy Agency, says reaching net zero emissions by 2050 itself means the emergence of a new energy economy, which requires strong collaboration to achieve. The IEA's net zero path relies on unprecedented internal cooperation. That is the type of cooperation required, especially on innovation and investment. And President Biden stressed on this point on Tuesday at COP26. To reach net zero emissions by 2050, this is again IEA's analysis, global clean energy investment must enhance more than thrice by 2030, by end of this decade, to around United States $4 trillion. United States dollars 4 trillion annually. Also, an extra 70% of the spending is required to close up the gap between the declared pledges and the 1.5 compatible trajectory in emerging and developing economies. This level of investment will create millions of jobs, significantly boost global economic growth, and achieve universal access to electricity and clean cooking globally by the end of the decade 2030. India, to increase power capacity to 500 gigawatt as announced by our respected Prime Minister, requires substantial global investments for which proper enabling environment must be created. This include reforming of power discoms, distribution companies. For meeting 50% of power from renewables, not only the generation has to be escalated, but the grid infrastructure need to be fully modified and massive battery storage systems need to be installed. And this requirement is very fundamental and involves huge costs. In addition, training the existing staff in the power sector with new skills to manage the new power infrastructure that includes smart grid and integrating intermittent renewables and so on is again the training is a very essential and vital thing. For all these to happen, a solid policy strategy and a long-term planning for energy transition need to be formulated and necessary investments mobilized. An estimated 20 million plus workers will be affected countrywide by this transition from the fossil fuels to the renewables. The very high number of informal workers in key economic sectors such as coal mining, transport, steel, cement, etc. adds to the problem. In the next 3 decades, the transition need to be completed, hence an immediate action must begin. Speaking at another event, Action and Solidarity, the Critical Decade, Prime Minister Modi ji said that adaptation to new ways of living in harmony with the environment has not been given the same importance as mitigation of climate change. This is an injustice to developing countries who are more affected by climate change. The Prime Minister mentioned that in India, schemes such as Tap Water for All, the Clean India Mission, and Clean Cooking Fuel for All have given benefits and improved the quality of life of people. And he suggested to try globally. Historically, India has not been contributing the greenhouse gases from 1870 to 2019 because even in 2019, its total emissions are just 4% of the total global emissions. It stands at 2.88 carbon dioxide gigatons in 2019, whereas China's emissions are 10.6 gigawatts and that of US gigatons and that of US 5 gigatons. India's targets announced at COP26 are therefore laudable. Being the third emitter, the third largest emitter at 2.88, suggesting 5 types of measures or 5 types of pledges to tackle the global climate change effects. The US President Joe Biden called for a global cooperation to limit the warming to 1.5 degrees, but offered no new comments. Several presidents and prime ministers of world countries, nearly 120, attended the crucial conference. But the two important people, the Russian President Putin and the Chinese President Xi, did not attend the conference. Now, the second day, the Tuesday, November 2nd, what happened at Glasgow? World leaders have made 2 new pledges to stop deforestation, one, and to slash methane emissions by 230 to help slow down the climate change. More than 90 countries have joined this United States and European Union effort to reduce methane emissions of 30% by 2030 from 2020 levels. You know, methane is 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide, and it accounts for nearly 25% of the current global warming. Therefore, removal of them is a very, very encouraging idea. The second one, that is the deforestation, over 100 world leaders representing over 85% of the world's forests pledged a multi-billion-dollar pledge to stop and reverse deforestation and land degradation by 2030, and an amount of 90 billion in public and private funds to invest in protecting and restoring forests. The countries who pledged include Brazil, Russia, Canada, US, Congo, China, Indonesia, Australia, etc. But India did not sign the pledge. Britain's Queen Elizabeth II, because the COP is held in Stockholm, in Glasgow, in Scotland, So, British Queen gave a message, a very stark message to the 120 world leaders attending the summit. The Queen stressed that the summit was the world's last chance to join in the shared objective of creating a safer, a stabler future for people and the planet. The time for words, she said, has now moved to the time for action. On the next 2 days, November 3rd and 4th, yesterday, what happened at Glasgow? More than 20 countries, US, UK, Canada, etc., pledged to stop funding foreign fossil fuel projects by the end of 2022, by next year end. No more funding of fossil fuel projects in foreign countries. Major countries, however, China, Japan, South Korea, and Spain had not signed this agreement because these countries together in the last 2 years, pumped $32 billion for fossil fuel projects abroad. It was suggested that public finance must also be completely stopped to have a chance of limiting the temperature to 1.5 degrees centigrade. COP26 President Alok Sharma is a cabinet minister in the Britain cabinet, said 77 countries have signed a pledge to phase out coal-fired power plants, which produced more than 35% of world electricity, and stop building new plants. China, which differed with this viewpoint, suggested to introduce carbon capture, utilization and storage to reduce emissions rather than stopping the coal-fired power projects. The IEA has made a new analysis based on these pledges, and the analysis says that fully achieving all net zero pledges to date and the global methane pledge by those who signed it would limit warming to 1.8 degrees centigrade. And to fully achieve, the countries must come up quickly with the policies and strategies for implementing pledges, which will be challenging. Over the next, all the world leaders have left after performing what they have to say from the points of their countries. Now, over the next week and a half, the diplomats will try to agree on deeper greenhouse reductions, also work out how to deliver on a still unmet promise for more than a decade to deliver $100 billion by 2020 to help the poor countries to face the consequences of climate change. Most critically, vulnerable countries are pressing major emitting nations to agree to increase their climate targets each year in order to keep global temperatures from heading past 1.5 degrees centigrade. Thank you.